Hello and welcome to a Connection Made Design project recap. My name is Andy and I want to take a moment and walk you through one of our Squarespace design projects. It's my hope that you find these recaps a source of inspiration for your own Squarespace projects. In this video, I want to show you a project I did for Journey Church. When Journey Church reached out to me, their Squarespace site was about 90% done, but they wanted some help with designing and customizing their homepage. They built their site using the Bedford template, and some of the functions and look that they were looking for, they couldn't achieve with the built-in Squarespace style editor. So here's what they were looking for. They wanted mobile optimization throughout the site. They were running into issues with things overlapping, some elements overlapping other elements and not fitting well together. They wanted an animated reveal on some content when you hovered over it. They wanted a custom slideshow gallery, custom buttons, and they were just looking for suggestions overall with the look and the flow of things. So let's take a look at what they wanted and what we were able to give them. So one of the first things that they were running into was right here, they really liked the look of their logo being in the middle of the homepage here, in the middle of the background photo for the header. But what they were running into is they were uploading this part of the logo as part of the photo itself. So in Photoshop or some other program, they made a white bar, the logo, this little triangle, all part of the photo. Now the problem with that is because this is a background image, when you resize the window, it's going to take on its own size and it may not work well with some of the other content around it. And this is where they're running into things overlapping one another. So this point right here at times, depending on the window size, would cover the buttons, or they would get to a certain point with a window size and this content here would cover this logo entirely. So through eliminating this from the photo itself and just uploading this logo to the site here, I was able to upload it as an image on this part of the page, and using CSS just position it to stay right here. So now when we resize the window, you'll see that there's always space between the button and the logo and the logo and the content down here. So throughout, you always have that space there, nothing overlaps. So one of the other things that they wanted was a animated reveal section for some of their content. When they first showed me the site, underneath this content area here were other blocks of content and buttons that were just separated by line block, and it looked uninteresting. So they came to me with an idea with a sample site, and they were getting some inspiration from another church's website. And let's go ahead and take a look at that real quick. So here's what they were after with this this reveal. As you can see here, this is a really cool look and effect. When you hover over, more information comes up. You can click on a button and go to another page. So they wanted to implement this, and this isn't something that is natively built within Squarespace, so it had to be custom coded to do this. And so I did that, but one of the things I wanted to try to avoid, where I feel like there's a little bit of a downside on this website, is when you bring the window size down here to where there's a breaking point, you'll see that one block of information goes full width underneath, and all the content that looks centered before is all left aligned. So what I wanted to do was I wanted to be very intentional to where when the content either became too big for the block that it was in, or there was just a breaking point in the site, that all these just naturally stacked one on top of another. I just feel like that's a cleaner look, it's a better look, it's more uniform. So if we go over here to Journey's website, here are those three areas. The hover, here's where they also wanted their custom buttons here. Squarespace at this point does not have an option where you can add in little icons next to your text. So I was able to do that for them as well. And so same hover effect, more information, a button to go to another part of the website. But what I wanted to do, again, if the content became too big for the block, I wanted to create a breaking point, or if there was a breaking point within the site, all these blocks would just stack on top of one another to give a cleaner look overall. So we go down to a point here, there it is, it begins to stack. And everything is stacked on top of one another. It looks cleaner, it looks better, everything's centered, and overall, a very nice look. Another thing that they wanted was a custom slideshow gallery, and they gave me a sample site for that as well. Let's take a look at that. And so here it is. You have a person in the background here, a background photo with, a little quote from them, and down here you have a different photo of that person that's used as a thumbnail. Very cool effect, very cool look. But it was interesting, even on this site, I was noticing the same thing. When you got to a smaller size window, you notice that the other thumbnails go away. So if you're looking on an iPad or an iPhone, you're not going to be able to click through and see the other quotes, the other people who are involved in this slideshow here. So I wanted to avoid that as well and make sure that regardless of size, that you would be able to see all three thumbnails and be able to read the testimonials. So let's go back here to the church website. And here we go. Again, this is something that is not built natively within Squarespace. So custom coding to get this look. In Squarespace, you can't really make these circles. With a built-in slideshow gallery, the background image and the thumbnail image are the same image. There's not a way to make those different without code. So through HTML and CSS alone, I was able to build this slideshow right here. So here we see the same look as the sample site. You click here, there's another testimonial. But when we get smaller, we still see all three thumbnails and we're able to click through. So it's very important when you're working on your Squarespace project to be very mindful of any customizations that you make, whether it's a look or function. Make sure it actually works and looks the way that you want it to across all different size screens, because so many people are using their mobile phone, their tablets. They're not just using desktop, and if anything, the trend is going more toward just using mobile phones. So you've got to get it right on smaller screens. You can't just design for a desktop and think that everything's going to be okay. Take the time, look, see how it's reacting, see how it's looking when you go to different breaking points within your site. And then one last thing that they wanted here was this area here where they would receive an email address and then they would send them a video from their pastor. It didn't look very good. It didn't match the style of the rest of the site. They were using a third-party application to handle all this processing of emails and sending the video through email. And the code that they got from the third-party provider it did not fit the style. There was a block here, a background, white background with a border, and the button didn't look right with the style of the website. In fact, let me go ahead and show you this here. So you can see here's the way it looked when they injected the code that the third-party provider gave to them. Just does not fit the overall style. So I was able to get in there using CSS and redesign that so it fit the style and the flow of their homepage. And so here you can see how this fits so much better than this does. If we go back here, You can see the buttons match a lot better. The flat design, everything just feels better. It looks better. It's a very clean, consistent look throughout the homepage. I hope you found some inspiration for your own Squarespace project. And a takeaway of just being very intentional about window size and how your content fits and looks and functions across all window size, across all devices. It's very important that it's consistent, the look is consistent, the function is consistent. So don't just design for desktop, be sure to look at everything. Well, that's it for this project recap. If you have any questions or would like help designing your Squarespace site, please reach out to us.